After roughly 15 hours playing the Versus Alpha, here are my overall thoughts and opinions on the new mode. Before I do though, here is a brief overview of how the mode works. When you load into a game, your team will get a short amount of time to pick your heroes one at a time, which is determined in a random order. As the Ubersreich 5, you get to pick the talents and weapons you want to use, but won't get to select any traits, properties, or anything of the sort. You can change your weapons and talents both in the lobby as well as in between rounds by interacting with the crate and the table. As the Skaven, when you first spawn and every time you respawn, you will get a choice between two random specials that you can spawn as. The original respawn timer is about 15 seconds, but goes down for every player you are missing on your team. Now onto my thoughts and opinions. First and foremost, it's incredibly fun. The changes they've made to maps from the base game are great, and although not perfect, really help to differentiate Adventure Mode from Versus Mode. For those who are unfamiliar with the changes, we got to playtest Screaming Bell, which had entirely different objectives and a different path to follow than the Screaming Bell from Adventure Mode. This made it so that the map not only felt different from its other iteration, but also made it much more balanced for Versus, as the new events limited the opportunities to speedrun through everything, although it didn't entirely negate that problem. The Skaven themselves feel highly responsive and fluid to play, from the Warp Thrower to the Hook Rat to the Assassin. Every single rat feels fantastic to control and makes the game mode so much more fun to play overall. There are also some new animations and voice lines for each of the rats, which gives them some unique character and strangely makes them quite charming in their own individual ways. Now, let's talk about the one glaring flaw of Versus Mode: the balance. In all honesty, the balance is not nearly as bad as I anticipated it to be, but still the entire balance of the game mode is out of whack and is very heavily skewed in favor of the heroes, to the point where you need a 4-stack of highly communicative and skilled Skaven players in order to stand a slight chance against 4 randoms playing as the heroes. The main issues in this skew of balance stem from 3 main problems. First, the heroes have way too many resources at their disposal. There is so much healing in the map that it's very easy to out-heal the damage the Skaven players inflict on you, and hordes often end up being more harmful to the Skaven players rather than beneficial because they act as temp HP dispensers for the heroes and let them easily top up their health. There is so much ammo that you will never truly run out of it unless you're missing most of your shots, and there are so many bombs and potions, you are free to use them liberally. Ranged careers with sustainability, especially Ranger Veteran who can easily sustain his entire team, completely break the attrition of the heroes and make them never want or need for anything. As a soft addition to the healing portion of this, Skaven players also don't deal enough damage to out-heal the amount of healing items and temp HP the heroes get, which can sometimes make things feel hopeless, and the AI rats deal damage equivalent to the recruit difficulty, which makes them pose zero real threat. Second, there is too much stagger in the game. It is incredibly easy to stagger Skaven players through normal attacks and ultimate abilities, to the point where Skaven players sometimes get perma-stunlocked to death without having a chance to do anything. This is primarily due to how fast ultimate abilities recharge, as it feels like the heroes constantly have their ultimate abilities off cooldown, which they typically do because taking damage refills your ultimate ability bar faster, and because of how much healing there is at the hero's disposal, there is nothing stopping them from purposefully standing in a Globadier cloud to get their ultimate back faster. And third, specials die way too fast. The meta of the alpha very quickly became a ranged-centric meta revolving around Kruber and Barden's handgun, as they could reliably reach one-shot body shot breakpoints that allowed them to delete specials before the specials even had a chance to inflict any damage. The downtime between shots is virtually non-existent because of the fast reload, which means they're able to kill the Skaven players as fast as they attack, and there is so much ammo they are never at risk of running out and being left without those strong one-shot attacks. I think the above issues are absolutely fixable, but before going into how, I want to talk about something else first. Despite the above issues, I do not believe that the actual player-controlled special units need a damage increase. This is because they are balanced in order to encourage teamwork. Individually, the specials deal little damage, but when you work as a team and attack as one, you can easily bring a hero from full health to downed in just a few seconds. The Gas Rat's gas is also a good example of this, as the longer you linger in Globadier gas, the higher the damage ticks become, which encourages you to globe someone who is disabled and can't move out of the gas for a massive damage increase. If you increase the base damage the special units deal, the damage from coordinated attacks can quickly become too much and push the balance in the other direction, which is why I think these are better changes for versus. First, there should overall be less supplies across the maps. Less healing, less ammo, less potions, just less of everything. Additionally, there should be no infinite ammo boxes that spawn in any map. Replace those with a single max ammo pouch, and no healing potions should spawn at all, only medkits. The reason for no healing potions is that healing should be a risky investment of time. If you want to heal your injuries that the other players have dealt to you, you need to take the time to do it and leave yourself vulnerable for a moment to do so, which allows the Skaven players some time to attack and counter your healing. Healing potions allow for an instant regain of health, which has no counterplay and is just kinda lame. Second, the recharge time of ultimate abilities should be set to a flat amount and should not be affected by anything outside of concentration potions. That is to say, taking damage should no longer give you ultimate charge. This would create an interesting back and forth between Skaven players and hero players, where the former will be trying to bait out ultimate abilities to prepare for a mass coordinated attack, while the latter will be trying to read the Skaven players and predict when their attack will be so that they don't waste their ult and leave themselves vulnerable. Heroes are at their most powerful when they have their ultimate abilities ready to go, and there should be a significant cooldown time between uses to allow for windows of opportunity for the Skaven players to strike. Third, each individual special needs their own unique tweaks. While the Assassin feels perfect from a balance standpoint, every other special needs some kind of boost or buff to help them pose more of a threat to the heroes. Personally, I would recommend to reduce the wind-up time of Ratlings by half a second, grant Warp Fire Throwers a little more stagger resist while flaming so that they are not staggered out of their flame by basic weapon attacks, give the Hook Rat a short dash ability that can be used once per life to help close the gap, and give the Globadier an option to Suicide Rush and explode for big AoE damage. Fourth, reduce the sustainability of individual heroes. The Skaven should be able to win against the heroes through a war of attrition, and certain heroes make that impossible to do. Talents like Waystalker's Kurnus' Reward or Ranger Vet's Grungi's Cunning need to have their base numbers reduced, while talents like Ranger Vet's Scavenger need to either have their numbers heavily reduced or be replaced entirely by a new talent. The goal of these changes isn't to remove these careers' abilities to sustain. It's their niche, so it should not be taken away from them. Rather, it should reduce the amount of sustain they offer enough so that enough error on the hero's side or enough skilled play on the Skaven side will still cause the heroes to run out of supplies, rather than never, ever having to worry about that happening in the first place. And fifth, AI hordes should have their damage profiles upped from that of Recruit to Veteran. Not a massive jump, but enough so that they can actually help the Skaven players rather than be free temp HP pinatas. I think these changes would help to swing the balance more in favor of the Skaven players and overall make the game more fair. However, if the above changes are not enough and more are needed, I would also recommend to reduce the body shot damage of Kruber and Barden's handguns so that they cannot one-shot body shot specials at anything other than close range, and very slightly increase the overall damage numbers of all of the playable specials. Some people recommend bumping up the AI damage to that of champion difficulty, but personally, I'm hesitant to ask for any horde damage higher than veteran. The main threat of the Skaven side should be the player-controlled specials, not the AI, and if the AI deal too much damage, it will passively ostracize lower skill players who don't have the skills to reliably play at champion difficulty, or whatever difficulty the AI is set to. In all honesty, I'd rather the player-controlled specials get their overall damage raised rather than the AI hordes getting any higher damage than veteran. Or instead of raising the horde damage, you could just make hordes more frequent, but then you would need to reduce the amount of temp HP heroes gain, as too many hordes can easily allow heroes to stay at near max HP for the entire run. Despite these balancing dilemmas though, I'm very impressed with my first look into Versus. It's been the most fun I've had playing Vermintide in a very long time, and I can't wait to see how Fatshark improves upon this mode in the future. I'm pretty certain we're going to be getting another alpha, or at the very least a beta, before the full release, which means we'll have another chance to playtest and offer feedback before the mode fully goes live sometime in the distant future.